to talk about travel tips, right?
We've traveled a ton in the last 10 years, especially the last 5 years. What are our travel credentials? We've been to 14 countries in the last 5 years.
We lived in Canada for about a year. We lived in Ireland for 3 months. We lived in Portugal for 2 years. And there are some mistakes that we've made along the way that we will never ever make again. There are things that we have learned as we've traveled around this wonderful world. We also have some different perspectives on planning. Like, I have my way of planning and Chris has his way of planning, and you can assess which one is better at planning by putting your comment below.
And the thing is, she usually does the planning. I just think about things after the facts. I don't know if I'm necessarily planning. I'm just kind of adapting.
We'll have to see what's on your list, because this is going to be a bit his and hers, right?
Yeah, and they're travel tips. They're not necessarily planning, like travel planning tips, you know what I mean?
Oh.
There might be some, but I have tips. I've come up with 5 tips that you don't know what they are. You've come up with 5 tips that I don't know what they are, and we're going to amaze ourselves.
Or one another. You might amaze me. You might shock me.
I will say that I was surprised how serious my tips actually are. They're actually legitimate. These are things that I use when we travel. They weren't like all goofy things that I come up with, because I tend to do that. Although one of them probably fits into that category. All right.
Who's starting?
I think ladies first.
All right. Google Maps. Use Google Maps before you leave. I don't necessarily use Google Maps when we are walking or driving around, but Google Maps on your computer, because here's the thing. You usually know at least one site that is the most important to you in the city that you're going to be visiting. Put that landmark into your Google Maps and then use that to plan out the rest of your trip, or at least a good portion of your trip. Because from there you can look for great restaurants, you can look for great hotels, you can see what else there is to see in the area, and then figure out your transportation to other spots.
Can I actually add a sub-tip on top of that? Would it be called a sub-tip? Because if you use Google Maps and you're going someplace, it has the ability to like get the little guy and drag him on, and then it puts you on the street and you can see pictures. And I think that's a handy thing to do so that you can see where you're going to go beforehand. So that when you get there, there's some familiarity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I found that does actually help. So that's a great travel tip. They're gonna get more tips than they bargained for.
And we've only started.
We only started. Okay.
We've only just begun.
Are you really gonna? Okay, this is a rather, it's not, like I say, it's a serious tip. So as I said earlier, Melissa typically plans all of our travel because she's good at it. She's really good at it. And so I always pretty much like what she does. And she usually asks me questions and things like that. But I find when I travel someplace that it's good to read up on it a little bit, just so you know a little bit more about it before you get there, because that just helps the experience. But know your weaknesses. For instance, if your trip is 6 months down the road and you don't have the best memory, wait until you're within your brain focus time to do the research. So for me, if I read about something 2 months before we go do it, I don't think I'm gonna remember too much of it by the time we travel. So I usually wait. I wait and read about a week before we go. Although I do have to say, sometimes life can get a little busy and I don't read as much as I'd like to. But I find that when I do it that way, I remember things a lot better. They're fresh in my head.
Can I give you a what if?
Oh, are you gonna do a sub tip?
No, I'm gonna give you a what if.
What if? Okay.
If it's okay. What if, as you were excited about going to this place 6 months prior to going to it, you jotted down notes or links to the things that you came across that most excited you about the place, or you used your highlighter while reading something, and then you could review the notes that you took from doing the reading and research that you did right before you go, because then you've read it once and then you can see what most interested you, so it's an abbreviated reading before it's time to go. However, overall, I very much so support that trip.
You were talking, my eyes were just glossing over. Like, what is it? I felt like I was in like a lecture at college. I'm like, oh, this is an assignment. I don't want to do it.
I usually read with a highlighter and a pen nearby.
Just so you know, it usually takes about 5 years before I finally get the wisdom she has. So where are we at here?
I hope we get to stay together.
Good tips.
Forever and ever.
Good tips. All right. Okay, your number 2 tip.
My second tip, read reviews. Now you've gone on your Google map, you found the places you want to go to, read the reviews. Because a place might have a 3.9, which makes you go, should I really go? But they might have completely turned things around, but those historical ratings are still in there. So read the recent ones. And conversely, one might have a 4.8, and then in the last month, everything has gone downhill. There's new management, and oh my gosh, because reading those reviews does a lot. It also can indicate, like I noticed in Europe, this is where I really started to use it a lot, that a place would have some lower ratings based on the fact that servers didn't come over right away and they didn't bring the check right away, where really that's a cultural difference. It's not that server not doing their job or that restaurant lacking in any way. It's a misunderstanding.
And then do you use different review sites? Like, do you only use like Google reviews, or do you do Trustpilot, or?
I primarily use Google reviews, Fork if I'm in Europe, Open Table if I'm in the States, but I also read the Michelin Guide and see if any of the restaurants are listed in it and look interesting. And I'll also read Food and Wine Magazine and Saveur.
So you hit a lot of different points to get the information you need to do the research.
Correct.
So that is another tip. It's like a sub-tip to your tip, right?
Yes. Google doesn't know everything.
That was good. That was good. Number 2, my number 2. So when we do our travel, whether it be driving across the country to a place or flying to Europe, a lot of times I'm the guy doing the transportation part of things. And that might be driving a car, like we rent a car, or taking the plane and things like that. I find that if we're going on a trip, going someplace, I like to put all of that travel information of the destinations we're going to into my notes app on my phone. Now, if you don't have an iPhone, there's not a notes app, but there are notes apps on Android. And I find that that's nice to put all of your addresses into one note so that you can easily pull up the addresses when you get to the locations. You can pull up the addresses like when you jump in the car and then put it in your maps, and bam, it's easy to get to where you're going. There's not confusion, you're not panicked. You just know all your information is in one document on your phone. Also, if you're going to a Vrbo or an Airbnb, there's oftentimes instructions on how to check in. Put those in there as well, because you're going to be getting to the location, you're going to be frazzled, you're going to want to get in, and you're not going to want to be trying to search through the app for the instructions on how to get into the place. So I have found that that's been a very handy little thing to use.
That is a great tip. And I'm not sure in this, I'm going to ask you, when you have those addresses in your notes, can you just tap on the address and it'll go directly to your maps and just bam, you're there?
Yep. Nice thing about smartphones. Now, if you don't use a smartphone, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. You're probably not going on vacations. That's all.
I think they're probably still going on vacations, but they're not using that tip.
They're taking a horse and buggy to their location.
My third tip, list activities and apparel/equipment. So for each activity that we have planned, and I usually plan out most of our activities before we're going to go to a destination, write down what you're going to be doing. Like for an upcoming trip, I know that on the same day we'll be going bowling, we'll be going out to a nice dinner, and we'll be going to a movie. And then on the next day, we're going to be painting, we're going to be hiking, we're going to be doing all kinds of things. So sometimes in one day, you'll need more than one outfit. And if you write down what all of your activities are, and then write down what you're going to need to wear, or if you're going to need equipment like snowshoes for them, and then you go and you get index cards, you lay out everything. You lay out everything on the bed, unless it shouldn't be set on a bed, and then you put the index card on it, and then you take
God.
I'm sorry. And then this is something I really do, and it's just so not Chris. And then you take your phone and you video it,
gosh.
or you take pictures of it so that you can remember it. Because you don't want to do this on the day of or the day before. You want to do this like at least a week or so in advance, because then you can see if there are any missing pieces. And if there are missing pieces, you can go shopping for them. Do you do that, Chris?
No. Usually when we go on a trip, I just have one outfit and I'm always uncomfortable. I need to, you know what?
How often do we shop for you?
Shh. When we get done with this video, I'm gonna go back and watch it so I can learn that tip, because that was amazing. Oh my God. And the funny thing is, I've actually walked in our bedroom and seen like all the things on the bed and like note cards. She's not BSing here. She really does it. I'm like, good tip, honey.
I have video I could share with you.
Okay, this one is using your technology as well. So when you're going on a trip, a lot of times you're dealing with tickets. You're going to museums, you're flying on flights, and you need that ticket. And unfortunately, not all tickets go into your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet, where you can just easily pull them up. So what I always do is on my phone, there's a spot where you can create a folder and you can name it Trips and Tickets. And in that folder, you make another folder based on where you're going. And then in that folder, you put all your tickets, all your PDFs, everything you get when you order tickets or when you buy tickets for a concert or going to a museum or a train ride, put them in that one folder. Because then when you get to the location, you can just pull up the folder and pull up the document like that. It's much less stressful than trying to search through your email or to print everything out and then fumble through a folder that you might lose, you know. Because if you lose your phone, you can usually get a new one, then connect to the cloud and there's your documents again. So that might be a little nerdy, but...
On this step, I email Chris, or I make sure all of the tickets go to Chris.
Yeah, it's a little...
He does that.
She has access to the same folder, then she won't drop it into the folder. No, she's got to
I can never
send
find
it to me. Yeah, maybe that should be my tip. When you're planning trips and your husband has a folder, make sure you drop it into the folder he created. That's my tip.
My fourth tip, reservations. Make your dinner reservations ahead of time, especially if you're going to a larger city or a foodie destination, or you're going anywhere in Europe, because especially in Europe, restaurants tend to be a bit smaller, and they tend to have servings like, oh, we do a 6 o'clock, we do an 8 o'clock. You wander in at 7 o'clock, maybe if there's a table open, but otherwise, no, we didn't plan on having you. So no, we don't have anything for you.
That's a great tip. And like, you are always researching restaurants to go to when we travel to a destination, which is another good sub tip, in that a lot of times when you go to tourist destinations, the restaurants that you see where people are trying to get you to come in and go into the restaurant, those aren't the places you typically want to go.
Typically. Although we have seen somebody outside doing that at a restaurant we've made reservations at before, and it was excellent. However, I also have added onto the reservation tip that there are times when I am planning and doing reservations that a restaurant will only allow reservations, say 30 days ahead of time. For that, I put a note on my calendar for that day at 9 a.m. to make those reservations so that I can. Because sometimes those ones are the ones that book fast.
And I will say, I'm raising my hand, that is great advice, because whenever we travel, we always eat at awesome places, and you do a great job. That is a great tip.
It only took one honeymoon of not great restaurants,
Yes.
apart from 2 or 3, to make that a top priority.
Yeah. And you've got it down, though. You're really good at it now. My fourth tip, pack a couple outfits light. Here's the deal. Who likes to carry heavy luggage? I do not like to carry heavy luggage. Also, whenever you tend to go to a destination, you tend to shop. It's just one of the activities that people mostly do. And why not buy a new outfit or two when you're at the new destination? Because then you're gonna fit in a little bit, like, because you're buying clothes from there, and you're gonna have something to remember the trip from. Now, granted, you have to carry them back, but it's okay. You'll be fine.
My tip for shopping is to put your stuff into packing cubes so it compresses it. It might not make it lighter, but it compresses everything so that you have room for another outfit or two that you buy.
Is this a new tip?
And to also put a bag inside of your suitcase that can come out and be a bag for the things that you've purchased.
Is this just a tip you came up with right now, or is that?
Well, it's related. It's like a different version.
Okay.
Instead of packing light, because I feel like you're saying to pack light as in don't pack all of the outfits you should have.
Yeah.
And I'm saying pack all of the outfits you should have, but use packing cubes so you have a little extra space. And just in case, also bring along a tote in your bag that can be pulled out and used.
She says that because I'm the guy who's going to be carrying her big heavy luggage.
We have video for proof.
That's a video for proof. All right.
It's good to be a wife
so was that the
sometimes.
one you wanted to rattle off? Was that number 5?
No.
Okay.
I was just giving a different version of your tip.
A sub tip?
For somebody who wants to have all of the clothes that they need because they're not confident they'll find the right outfit at a store while randomly wandering around this new location.
I just want to know why you're not accepting the term sub tip. I've been trying to have you say it or go, yes, a sub tip, and you will not take my sub tip. Was that a sub tip?
It was a different perspective.
Oh, come on.
Okay, my 5th tip. Always have a protein bar with you because you can pack it into a purse, you can have it in a pocket. There's all kinds of ways to have a protein bar on your person. You never know when a flight is going to get delayed, a car is going to break down, something's going to happen, you're going to be hungry. The food is not going to be what you want it to be, but you absolutely need to eat something. Have a protein bar on your person at all times while traveling.
That was an excellent tip. Good job, good job. Ready?
Right.
Here's my tip so when you're in a very touristy location. Look pissed and focused when you're traversing a touristy location. Okay. I've got some background why you want to do this. Now, we have traveled a lot and been to some touristy places, and we've been fortunate enough to never deal with a crime, never be pickpocketed, never really be bothered. And I have a theory for that, is because I look pissed whenever we're doing this. Now, I do this on purpose because the thing is I don't want to look confused or look like I'm in awe when I'm in a touristy space. Does that make any sense?
It does. I just find it funny because there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. Whenever he and I are walking anywhere together, nobody talks to me. Nobody looks at me, nobody talks to me, nothing happens. Now, if I go walking by myself or with a friend, I end up having conversations. People are generally nice. I carry my purse in such a way
they're
as to
pickpocketing you as they talk to you.
No, I've never been pickpocketed. I do carry my purse in a very smart way if I have a purse.
Okay, all right.
And if I'm not with you...
Is that a sub-tip?
No.
Okay.
But this could maybe be counted as one. If I'm not with you, so that I don't look lost, because I have long hair that covers my ears, I put AirPods into my ears and I turn the maps on so that I can hear, oh, turn left here, walk 6 blocks, turn right there. So I don't look confused as I'm wandering around, and so I'm not holding my phone like this checking a map. I just have it in my pocket, nobody's any the wiser, and I get where I need to go without anyone knowing I'm clueless.
Yeah, because in what I was going to say, it was very similar to that. But when I'm using the maps on my phone, when we're in the city, using the walking directions, what I'll try to do is like, I'll check to see who's around me, and then I'll kind of look at my phone, not like I'm like, you got to act a little. You got to like kind of act like you're cool. Look at the map, make sure you're oriented.
He's already so cool.
And then just say, okay, I've got 3 blocks to walk straight. And then put it in your pocket and just start walking straight. You can keep the map going. A lot of times when you get close to the location, it will vibrate and make a sound to kind of let you know something's up. But then you get to the spot, you take your turn, and then, you know, look around, and if everything looks cool, just calmly pull out your phone, look at it. Everybody's looking at their phones, but if you do it in a normal looking way, I think you deter the possibility of being a victim if you don't look confused or in awe. And really, I think awe is like pleasant confusion. You know what I mean? Because you're just like, you're still confused, but you're like, oh my gosh, how'd they build that? You're confused. So
You're confused. You're just gonna be confused.
Think about when you express your awe, just think about it. That's all. That's all the tips I have at this point.
I do think each and every one of them had a good point to them.
Cool. Awesome. Same for yours. Way to go.
I just have a sub tip. I'll call this one a sub tip. Because if you're going to be trying to make sure that you don't look as if you're in awe as you're walking around and you look kind of mean, another option or another thing to do in addition to all of that is to dress similar to locals.
That goes back to my thing about the outfit.
When did you say the outfit?
Pack a couple outfits light so you
yeah,
can buy an outfit in the new location.
But you can also know what to wear in that, if in a place it's very uncommon to wear tennis shoes and a sweatshirt, don't wear tennis shoes and a sweatshirt, wear something else.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about pickpockets, you just don't want to stand out too much. That's all.
Yeah.
There have been some days where I'm like, I look like a tourist. I'm glad I look like a tourist. Because also it has led to somebody helping us where she otherwise might have thought we knew what was going on and wouldn't have.
Yeah. If you need help planning some travel, this lady right here can help you. Links are down below. Thanks for watching. See ya. Good job.